Years ago, around 2010, I really started getting into The Walking Dead. And it was around the time when zombies were at their height, in my opinion, in pop culture. The genre in film can be traced back to George Romero and Night of the Living Dead, but the genre's modern revival can be traced back to the late 90s, with Simon Pegg, writer and star of Shaun of the Dead, citing the Resident Evil video game series. Zombies were a craze. Video games, movies, and of course you had The Walking Dead on TV. It was a novelty being one of the few zombie series on television at the time, but for me, after watching it for a little while, the novelty felt like it was wearing off. Episodes started getting stale and repetitive, and I had stopped watching. The show never really piqued my interest again. It made me realize there's only so much you can write when it comes to fighting and surviving against zombies before they get repetitive. They are brainless, lifeless, and really just predictable beings. And generally, they work better for film than television. Or so I thought. Browsing through Netflix earlier this year, I came upon one South Korean TV series that went completely counter to all my expectations. Kingdom. A 2019 zombie Netflix series set in medieval Korea's Joseon Dynasty. Directed by Kim Seong-hun and written by Kim Eun-hee. It's a very fresh take on the zombie genre. The series proved to me how zombies can be a prominent and effective part of a deeper story. If you're looking for a horror-ish thriller to watch this upcoming Halloween, I do recommend you watch Kingdom. Let's take a look at how Kingdom tells its zombie story differently. And of course, spoilers ahead for the first season of Kingdom. First, I wanted to make a quick note on what the show's premise does well. In a previous video I made on HBO's Chernobyl, I talked about this idea of a two-sided conflict, where there are two opposing yet related issues that tear away at the main protagonist. Kingdom largely operates in this similar fashion. One side of the conflict is political, where Lord Cho and his daughter are vying for power over the kingdom, while the other side is the much more dangerous and imminent threat, the zombies. The political conflict exacerbates the danger of the zombies, and the Crown Prince is largely caught in the middle, trying to fight Lord Cho, but also trying to stop the zombies that are overrunning the kingdom. Doing a zombie series in this format adds a layer of dynamism to the story. It's more than just about surviving against zombies, it's about deceit, betrayal,
저의 일행 중에 조악주 사람
power.
몇 구가 있건 몇 식구가 있건 그 누구도 내게 아무 말도 못하게 만드는 것 그것이 권력이다.
Kim Eun-hee had been writing the series since 2011, and she had always been fascinated by zombies, but she was more interested in exploring them unconventionally. People are scared when they think of zombies, but I thought they were sad beings with a remaining strong instinct to eat. I thought if you take the epidemic disease, which is very contagious, and bring it to the miserable Joseon Dynasty, there could be an ironic story. And I think that word, ironic, is rather important to the show's storytelling, because it's the irony that makes the zombies interesting, and it's the irony that creates my magic word, conflict. And like Eun-hee had alluded to, it's the setting and the time period that creates this irony. You see, the Joseon Dynasty was a long-ruling dynasty in Korea from 1392 up until the Japanese annexation in 1910. The Joseon Dynasty was considered a golden age for innovation and culture, and the adoption of Chinese value systems, such as that of Confucianism, being made the state's official religion. In practicing Confucianism, it has a lot to do with social order and ensuring everybody knows their place. Within the social order, you must hold respect for position, for class, for age. You must hold respect for family. There are ways a son should conduct himself when interacting with his father. There are ways a subject should conduct himself when interacting with their ruler, and so on. There are methods to behaving and limits to individuality. And so in the show, the irony is created in multiple ways. One of the ways is in this Confucian system, the system that is meant to create social order, actually creates more chaos when faced with a zombie epidemic. For instance, after the first night of the outbreak, the logical decision would be to burn all the bodies of the zombies. But of course, even despite seeing the horrors from the night before, the noblemen refused to desecrate the bodies of their family members.
털끝만큼이라도 손댔다가는 가만두지 않을 걸세.
And so instead, a better decision somehow is to bury the bodies of the noblemen while burning the peasants' bodies. And of course, none of this happens, leading to the former commander's mother to take drastic action to preserve her son's body. Even Lord Cho's attempt at keeping the king alive until his daughter can birth a baby boy is his attempt at respecting the social order, but he's actually completely disrupting it. As long as the king is alive, nobody can succeed him. The subjects must respect the ruler's status. But by keeping the king alive, he inadvertently threatens the kingdom that he wants to rule.
앞으로 한 달, 중전마마께서 왕자 아기씨를 출산할 때까지 분명 살아계신 것이.
The show demonstrates the weaknesses of a rigid social structure. Bringing in zombies disrupts the social order entirely and almost democratizes everyone.
이런 법이 어디 있습니까? 양반한테 무기라니요.
제자장에 엄명히 계셨습니다.
책을 들어야 할 손에 이런 걸 들다니.
Another perspective in which Eun-hee centers the series most prominently is with this idea of hunger. There is a lot of irony here, too, depicted between the peasants and the noblemen. The peasants are depicted as hungry and improper. They are shown devouring meat, noodles, soups, rice without restraint. Food becomes very grotesque and visceral, especially in times of famine. On the other hand, you have the noblemen who are well fed. They are shown rarely eating. Often their food is thrown away or they eat very little of it. That is, of course, until they turn into zombies themselves. Much like the peasants, they now are constantly hungry, devouring anything without restraint. In this show, hunger is really shown to strip away at people's humanity, not just in becoming zombies, but in many other ways as well.
이들이 조선을 약탈한 것 같습니다. 죽을 죄를 졌습니다.
The peasants in the village looted a ship out of desperation and were ready to murder the crown prince and his party, losing all their humanity and innocence if it meant survival.
저희 아이들까지 죽일 순 없습니다. 나으리들만 없으면 우리 자를 아무도 모를 것입니다.
Lord Cho hungers for power. In doing so, he loses sight of all things moral and ethical. He keeps the king as a zombie prisoner. He arrests and tortures 89 Confucian scholars, and the dead bodies of the palace workers, he throws them under a lake.
내 손으로 직접 그 숨통을 끊어 놓을 것이다.
One last note on the zombies themselves. The zombies break convention in a few different ways that draw our focus and attention as the viewers. Yes, they still crave flesh, and yes, you still have to cut their heads off in order to stop them, but Eun-hee gives them new dimensions that make them more unpredictable, and therefore more dangerous and terrifying. The first being when you consume a zombie's flesh, you become a zombie as well. This adds a lot more tension when it comes to depicting consumption, and gives meaning literally to losing your humanity through hunger. The zombies also only wake up at night and fear sunlight. It's sort of refreshing that we are able to add periodic breaks to the story. It helps with pacing, but it also creates a sense of urgency during the daytime. Of course, it's not until the end of the season that we realize the zombies prefer the cold instead of the dark. Adding the ability to discover new traits adds to this unpredictability and therefore to the terror of the show. Kingdom has done an amazing job at creating uniqueness in a genre that appeared to be getting stale. Its decision to take on a historic period setting, its decision to depict hunger and humanity, and its decision to add new dimensions to the zombies creates a show that is ripe with depth. There's so many more great storylines and elements of the show that I didn't even touch upon in this video. Kingdom has been greenlit for Season 2, and I can only hope it can continue to build upon what Season 1 did so well. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, happy October, hence the subject of this video. If you are looking for something to watch this upcoming Halloween, I do highly recommend this series. If you liked my video, consider giving me a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. And as always, if you have any suggestions for future videos, no guarantees, but it may become a subject of one of my future talks. So thank you so much, and until next time, cheers.